There are many great mysteries throughout the history of the National Football League. For example, what would have happened if the Indianapolis Colts would have selected Ryan Leaf number 1 overall in 1998 and not Peyton Manning? Was the immaculate reception actually a legal play, or did the ball bounce off of Frenchie Fuqua first and not Jack Tatum, therefore making it an illegal play? You know, those copper fit braces that Brett Favre hawks, they didn't seem to help his wee size. I mean, these are all mysteries that we're still, all these years later, kind of seeking the answers to. But one of the great mysteries in the NFL right now, to me, and one of the great mysteries of quite some time, frankly, is how in the hell is Jeff Fisher still employed by the now Los Angeles Rams? It behooves us to try and figure out this mystery, because this has to be deep-seated in some layer of bullshit somewhere, because it makes no logical sense. Look, I'm not the type of person that comes on and does a video and says you should just fire a coach for the fuck all of it. I'm not the type of guy that always advocates for firing a coach after one failed season or two failed seasons. I believe it takes 3, 4, up to 5 years to have a coach install his program, get the talent to run that program, and then ultimately see what the result of those talent evaluations and of that coaching staff are on the football field. You got to give it time. That's the nature of the beast. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But for crying out loud, how much longer does Stan Kroenke need, the Los Angeles Rams organization need, to figure out that there's something seriously fundamentally wrong with their football team and that Jeff Fisher is a primary source of that problem? Now, look, we could talk about Les Snead until we're blue in the face, and frankly, he needs to be shown the door too. But I couldn't believe my ears when recently it was announced that both Jeff Fisher and Les Snead got contract extensions. And apparently this had been given out at the beginning portion of the season. Why? To reward him for moving the team from St. Louis to Los Angeles? Give me a fucking break here. Why? Because Jeff Fisher did it once before, moving from Houston to Tennessee? Who gives a fuck? We're sitting here now and keeping NFL head coaches employed. Furthermore, giving them extensions of contracts, which typically extensions also mean pay raises, for the logistics of a move, not for how the team performs on the fucking football field. Holy Christ almighty. Jeff Fisher, the king of excuses to why his teams finish 7-9 or worse pretty much every freaking year imaginable. Oh, the stuff with Stedman, Bailey, and Trey Mason, like it fucking mattered. This team is doo-doo. And they're prepared like doo-doo, and they play like doo-doo for a doo-doo head coach. I'm seriously trying to figure out how the hell Jeff Fisher still has a job. Now, if we step back and get away from the crazy stuff and we say, okay, you don't want to move the team to Los Angeles and then admit that Jeff Fisher sucks, and then you're hiring another coach, and then another 2 years plus go by, and then that coach sucks, and then you've got other problems. But everybody freaking knows that Jeff Fisher sucks. And you're trying to establish yourself in that market in Los Angeles. You got to give them a reason to care, because right now they don't care, and they most certainly shouldn't care based off of the product they're seeing on the football field. And you're telling them that you care? You're telling them that you're worth giving a shit about by extending the contracts of Jeff Fisher and Les Snead? You want to talk about the NFL being a corporation and the teams being kind of like subsidiary corporations underneath the big NFL non-for-profit umbrella. There's no question that it's run like a corporation, because only in big-time corporate America would you see pay raises and contract extensions and promotions be given out so frequently to people that are so unqualified and so undeserving, except for maybe United States presidential elections. I mean, Jeff Fisher's had 5 years. 5 freaking years. Oh, they traded out of the second overall pick in 2012. It's going to give them this bounty of picks, and they're going to build this juggernaut. And all that shit didn't happen. And then worst of all, you make the big move up the draft board to go get Jared Goff number 1 overall. So that way you could bench him for the first 2/3 of the season to play Case fucking Keenum. Who, mind you, is a major contributing factor as to why you drafted Jared Goff number 1 overall in the first place. Number 1, because Les Snead is a horrible evaluator of talent, and clearly the people working for him are as well when it comes to the quarterback position, because why they would think Jared Goff was a better prospect than Carson Wentz beats the ever-living fuck out of me. Second, you took Case Keenum and Sean Mannion. Those are your 2 quarterbacks. You drafted Jared Goff for a reason because these other 2 dudes are doo-doo. They're not going to get the job done. So if you already knew that's why you took him, Jared Goff can't possibly be much worse. And even though he's been pretty shitty in the action he's seen, he really hasn't been much worse than Case Keenum or Sean Mannion. Why in the hell wouldn't you sit there and start him from day one? Especially when you're entering into a new market. Especially when you need star power in Los Angeles to give reasons for people to give a fuck about this team again that have been gone for over 2 decades. Jeff Fisher, the defensive genius whose defenses on a consistent basis get boat raced. They just got boat raced again by Atlanta on Sunday. And how the hell does this... 4-9. This is now year 5 with the Rams organization, and Jeff Fisher has exactly 0 winning seasons. 0! The only conclusion I could draw from this is that Jeff Fisher has some potent shit on the back burner in terms of blackmail. He's got to have pictures of Stan Kroenke fucking little boys or humping goats or doing something with somebody's wife or husband. I don't fucking know. Because from a sheer football standpoint, this makes absolutely 0 fucking sense. What type of message are you sending to your locker room when you're trying to tell players that they have to be accountable to their performances when their leaders don't have to be accountable to their performances? If the coaching staff and the front office don't have to fucking care about performance because, hey, as long as we're not 3-13, that's okay. 7-9, we can deal with that because maybe next year will be different. That's what they say every fucking year about this team. It's a turning point. They're going to take that next step. The only steps they're taking are backwards. Again, I'll repeat, backwards. Todd Gurley, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now an afterthought in year number 2 because the offensive line stinks. They have unqualified people running their offense. And frankly, when you look at their defense, which has some talent on it, unqualified people running the defense and calling the shots. And ultimately, who's the person in charge of the coaching staff? It's Jeff Fisher. 5 years now. And this Rams organization still hasn't seen enough? 5 years now. And this Rams organization still thinks they're heading on the right track? 5 years now. And Stan Kroenke and the Rams front office thinks this is okay? Especially year 1 in a new market in Los Angeles? When there's so many other things to do other than give a shit about the Rams. So you're giving them multiple reasons to not give a shit about the Rams. If you're Stan Kroenke, if Jeff Fisher has pictures of you with somebody's wife or somebody's husband or somebody's goats or cats or dogs, at this point in time it would be worth the PR hit to get Jeff Fisher the fuck out of town. Because now you not only run the risk of setting your organization back years from a market standpoint in Los Angeles, you run the risk of setting your football team back for years from an on-the-field standpoint. Because the last person that I want around my young starting quarterback in this day and age is Jeff fucking Fisher. Jared Goff, like it or not, Rams fans, Rams organization, is your future. He is the franchise, and you have to put everything you possibly can into making that work. And Jeff Fisher and his criminal neglect of the offensive side of the ball, furthermore, his lack of fundamental understanding of the offensive side of the ball, and putting completely over their head incompetent people in charge of the offense is going to submarine Jared Goff's career quicker than this side of Jamarcus Russell drinking whatever the fuck Jamarcus Russell loved to drink and snort and smoke. He's got to have pictures of somebody doing something bad, because otherwise this makes no sense. Jesus. Most other teams, like the Bills, I think are about ready to fire Rex Ryan. He's got 2 years. Yeah, he's a bum. But what the fuck does that make Jeff Fisher?